Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? And we are live. I hope everybody is well today and enjoying their Sunday. Spain time 7:30 p.m. But as you can see, I'm not in my normal place today, but we'll go through the video as we normally do. A news update live. I'm going to have a look at some of the main stories that have caught my attention this weekend, and we'll also have a look at some of the comments that were left on Friday's video, and we'll also go through the chat here on the right and pull out some of the main chats. Now remember, if you want to support the channel, you can buy a super chat or a super sticker, and there's also merchandise available below the video if you like. Now, plenty of chat coming in at the moment. Let's have a look what we have got here in the chat section. Scott coming in, he's in the bath. Hello, Scott. Richard's coming in here from London, waiting. Kathleen coming in from St Andrews in Scotland. Andrew coming in from London, and Steve again in the chat section here. Now, let me know if you can hear the video well, if it's too loud, or if it's if the sound is okay, if the video quality is okay, because as I said, I'm not in my normal studio today. All right, good. Now we're going to go through the first piece of news today, and it is this one here. Oh, I'll just click the button properly. And it is the mask case, a €2 million booty in the law of the jungle. We were at war and it was all about buying bullets. This is how a businessman expert in trade with China describes the situation experienced between March and May 2020. But in this battle against the pandemic that put the world in quarantine and has already cost more than 100,000 lives in Spain, certain intermediaries or commission agents got very rich in a short time at the expense of the country's desperation and need. Okay, so again, this story dominating the news here about some people that managed to fill their pockets with the pandemic. They were buying health material, masks, PCR tests and the like, gloves and things like that from China, and they managed to make a nice tidy commission with public money. I think something around €6 million is what they managed to make on that one deal. So a lot of money in those people's pockets, and of course, as we know, they are currently being investigated by a judge in Spain at the moment, and also I think it was opened by the public prosecutor's office, bringing charges against these two businessmen. Now, let's go back into the chat section here. We've got plenty of chat coming in. We've got, let's have a look here. We've got Hattie coming in. Hello from Pilar. I don't know where Pilar is. Also Hackett from Oregon. Steve coming in. The sound is good. Thank you, Steve, for that. City Fan coming in from Barcelona. We've got Kari coming in from Bilbao. Other people coming in from the Rust Belt, UB. I don't know how to pronounce that last part of your handle there, but Rust Belt, Pennsylvania, I think. Torremendo coming in there, and plenty of people coming in from all around the world today for the live stream. Now, we'll go into piece of news number 2. It's related to piece of news number 1. And one of the businessmen involved in this health materials scandal, or the commission scandal, if you like, he says, Luis Medina is his name. He says there is no irregularity whatsoever. The public prosecutor's office, as you know, are all left-wing, and that's how they act. The businessman is relaxed because he is sure that he will be exonerated. His partner also tricked him, and now their boats, luxury cars, watches have been confiscated. So the businessman in question fighting back, as we mentioned the other day, he comes from noble blood in Spain. I think his brother is a duke or something like that, I think. He is the Duke of Feria, which is a royal title that family has. And he's saying that he did nothing wrong. It was purely a commission, and it's a left-wing. The left-wing government is coming after him because obviously he has that noble background, and he says it's a witch hunt, basically. And the commissions were legal, the contracts were legal, nothing out of line there, and he spent the money on whatever he wants to spend the money on, in his opinion. And of course, blaming ideological differences between him and the public prosecutor's office Carlos for going after him and his partner. So not happy with that, Mr. Medina. But as we saw there, all of those assets that he bought allegedly with that money, Ferraris, Rolexes, houses and things like that, a yacht, have all been confiscated by a judge in Madrid. So he's going through a bit of a rough patch at the moment because of these business deals, which he says, I'll repeat, he says they were completely legal. And in his opinion, it's a witch hunt of the left going after him. But anyway, let's have a look. Back into the chat section. What have we got going on here? Tobias is coming in. Hello, Tobias. We've got Evan coming in from South Africa. Matt tells me that the sound is good, no problems. Thank you, Matt. I'm glad that the sound is good and the video is okay as well. Lighting is a little dark, says Tobias. Yeah, it is a little dark because I don't have very good lighting in this room, Tobias, so we'll have to put up for that this week, unfortunately. What else we got here? We got John coming in from San Diego. Sound is good. Thank you very much. Orange County, California. Jose Antonio's in the chat section as well. Hello, Jose Antonio. We've got Dave coming in from Scotland. So plenty of action there in the chat section. Let's try and get the chat section as active as possible if we can. Ruby's coming in from Barcelona. Don't forget, if you've got any questions for me, feel free to put them in the chat and I'll do my best to answer them, although it's not easy considering that the chats come through very, very quickly, so I can't always find them. Now we'll go into the third piece of news here. Let's have a look at this one. And it's related to Spain's new traffic law. So Spain's new traffic law, can you be fined for keeping your phone in a mobile holder? The new traffic law toughens the penalty for holding and using a mobile phone while driving. But what happens if the mobile is in a holder? Good question. During a meeting, the DGT director, Pere Navarro, pointed out that as long as the phone remains in an approved stand and is not used while driving, drivers will have no problems. If a person needs to use their phone, they should stop at a suitable place and finish what they need to do before continuing their journey, he said. He went on to explain that if a phone is used while in a stand, there will be 3 points deducted from the license and the fine stays at €200. So if you get caught touching the phone when it's in a holder, 3 points and a €200 fine. But if you get caught driving with your phone in your hand, 6 points and I think it's €1,000 fine. So 6 points will be deducted off your license. Now we've got a super chat coming in from Brady. Thank you very much for that, Brady. I'll have a look in a minute at the super chat when I find it. Okay, have a look at that in a moment. Now, as I said, just going back to the new driving rules and regulations that we have in Spain that were passed last week, or they came into effect last week, I think last Monday it was. So very strict now on people that are driving with phones in their hands, because according to the police and the traffic department here, a lot of accidents nowadays are caused by people that are in the middle of a WhatsApp conversation. They have an accident, go off the road, sometimes die. And of course, the first thing they do when they check your car is they go through your phone and see when your last conversation on WhatsApp was or your last telephone conversation. And I'm still surprised at how many people don't have Bluetooth in their car and they go around holding their telephone, having a conversation while they're driving, and very, very dangerous indeed. And I recently saw somebody with a phone in one of those holders having a WhatsApp conversation while she was driving. So very, very dangerous to do that, in my opinion. So cracking down on that. And they're also cracking down on overtaking. You can't exceed a certain speed when you overtake nowadays. So be careful with that as well. And they're also cracking down on the distance when you overtake cyclists. You have to use the other lane if it is available. And if there's no other lane, it's a single lane road. You have to be, I think it's 1.5 meters away from the cyclist when you pass them. But if you have space on the other side of the road, go into the other lane, because they don't want cyclists put in risk at all. All right, good. We have a super chat here from Dave. Let's put it on the screen. Hi, Stuart. Do you think Le Pen, if she wins or closely loses, could embolden Vox in Spain? Supposedly she gets funding from Putin too. Yeah, good question. I have seen that Ms. Le Pen is doing very well in the French elections, which are today, I think. She's done very well up until now, and there is a definite swing towards those more extreme right-wing parties. Don't take offence if you vote right-wing, because it is the extreme side of the political spectrum. Will it embolden Vox? Yes, absolutely it will embolden Vox. If she does well in the elections in France, if she wins, Vox will be very, very happy with that result. And they'll think that here in Spain, they can do exactly the same thing. Basically, we have seen Vox doing very well in recent elections. I think in Castilla Leon, they did reasonably well. I think they're now in the government. They're in a coalition government there. And in different parts of the country, they also are not officially in government, but they do pull some of the strings in Andalusia, I believe, also in Murcia. So they are gaining in popularity, as we know. And polls have shown that Vox's popularity is increasing. Podemos is going down. Vox is coming up. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens in France today. And I would say that that is going to improve the chances of Vox if they do well. I don't know much about whether they're funded by Putin. I don't have any information on that, but those are the rumours that they do get their money from external sources. And there were rumours also that Podemos got their resources from external sources as well from South America. All right, we've got another super chat coming in here, or a super sticker. I'll just see if I can find it. Super chat from Brady. Hello, Brady. Thank you very much for that. All right, good. No question, though. So we'll move on to the next piece of news. Yeah, so that's politics at the moment in a lot of European countries. The right-wing parties, or the further to the right parties, let's say, are increasing. Again, I saw people in France saying that it might be a protest vote. I have no idea. In Spain, that is what people are saying, that Vox is a protest vote. But if the ball keeps on rolling for Vox, I don't know whether we can classify it as a protest vote or not. But anyway, we'll see. Elections in Spain next year, 2023. So we'll see what happens there with regard to Vox and Spain. Now we'll go on to the last piece of news here, which is this one here, about the amount of trips that have been made, or road trips in Spain this weekend, because as we know, the Easter week. So Easter week returns to pre-pandemic figures with 14.6 million road trips. So a lot of people hitting the road this weekend and over the next week in Spain. The tourism sector has recovered pre-pandemic levels this Easter, the first without mobility restrictions in 2 years. Since Friday, 4 million road trips have been made. Activity at airports has also increased the figures reminiscent of those of 2019. The Directorate General of Traffic, the DGT, expects up to 14.6 million road trips to take place from yesterday, or Friday or Saturday, until Monday the 18th of April, and public holiday in several autonomous communities. So that's where we're at here in Spain at the moment. Lots of people hitting the roads and heading away for Easter. I'm one of those people. I've headed over to Portugal, which is where I am at the moment. So a lot of people doing the same thing, getting out of their cities, hitting the road, and going to some of the more popular tourist destinations around the country. And if you are in one of those popular tourist destinations, for example, if you're in Malaga, if you're in Alicante, one of those places there on the coast, I'm sure you have noticed an influx of people this last weekend, and it's going to get even busier as the week progresses in some of those coastal areas in Spain. I think everybody I know basically has headed to Alicante for the Easter break, so I'm sure those towns have filled up down there. All right, good. Back into the chat section. Plenty of things happening here. Brady says from Redmond, WA, not Western Australia. So what's that? Washington, Brady, I imagine. Thank you very much for your super chat before. It is appreciated. Washington, D.C. We've got Al-Suwaket. We don't have driving points here. How many driving points do people start off with? I think it's 15. I think 15 or 16. Not exactly sure. I think 15 or 16. Somebody can point that out in the chat section if you like. But I think it's around 15 or 16 points that you have to begin with. Maybe less. It could be even 12. I'm not 100% sure. I think in Australia it was 12, if I remember correctly. But I think in Spain it's a few more. But if you lose 6 in one hit, let's say, because you get caught with a phone in your hand, then you lose another 6 because you don't have your seatbelt on when you're driving, your license will be taken away. And I think you have to do a course to get it back, if I believe. So you don't want to be losing your license through the point system here. And I don't know where you're coming from there. Al Suakat saying that there's no points where you are. But it wouldn't be Australia, because in Australia we also have a point system down there and a point system here in Spain. All right, good. Let's have a look. Iggy says here, good. Too many people don't pay attention when driving. Absolutely right, Iggy. A lot of people don't pay attention when they're driving, and mobile phones have become an extra distraction for a lot of drivers. And as I said, I have seen people in Spain driving along WhatsApping at the same time, which I couldn't believe, to be honest. Very, very dangerous in my opinion. But again, a lot of cars nowadays have touchscreen entertainment systems, and you drive along and you can change the radio station. You can also open the Google Maps on those as well. So again, we could say that those also could be considered a distraction, but in most new cars nowadays, you have one of these entertainment panels just to the right or just to the left, depending on what side of the car you sit. So that could also be considered a distraction. But anyway, now I think there was another super chat coming in. Super chat from Patrick, 1999. Thank you very much, Patrick, for that. Hugely appreciated. Alan says, Viva Le Pen, Viva Le Pen. All right, good. We've got some Le Pen supporters here as well. People coming in here from London, so plenty of people coming in here from all over the world, which is fantastic to see. Now we'll go into the first comment that we're going to look at today, which was from Michael. Mexico is the new favourite destination for many Brits. Spain will continue to be a favourite destination for some, but I can see the Spanish government and tourist board moving the goalposts again later in the year to a 3-jab as fully vaccinated scenario. This comment obviously related to the fact that the Spanish tourist board in London stuffed it up last week. They said that the rules for unvaccinated British people had gone away and they were able to now holiday in Spain. And they did a U-turn more or less a few hours afterwards and changed that decision. Unfortunately, after a lot of people had booked holidays to Spain, apparently, and they were quite unhappy about that. We saw somebody that said that his whole family had booked a trip to Spain, but they had to change it to Turkey, so they weren't happy about that. Now, they could change the goalposts again later in the year. I have no idea. I think it's currently a booster shot is required, 270 days. If you've had your shots, there's no problem. But if you're not vaccinated, those are the rules that are in place at the moment. And again, I'll say that the unvaccinated, according to statistics, are only a minority. So what is it, 10% of the population in Spain, maybe a few more, maybe a few less, probably the same in the UK. So we're not talking about the majority of the population, but obviously they are unhappy that they can't holiday like vaccinated people and complaining of discrimination. So yeah, unfortunate for people that are in that situation. And we're looking forward to having a trip overseas, maybe getting a bit of sun on their bodies from the United Kingdom, but unfortunately that is not the case. And as we said, the goalposts might change again in the near future. That could be the case. I don't know. All right, good. Now let's have a look at this one here from David. I've lived in Spain since the 80s, but I'd never heard of Regaña till this weekend. Thanks for that. I'm totally addicted. That was my Spain favorite snacks video that I posted earlier in the week, last week. I put 6 things on the table that I enjoy in Spain, 6 food items, and Regaña's were one of those items. Small little crunchy biscuit type things, savory biscuits, put a bit of cheese on top, bit of Spanish ham, and away you go. Quite a nice snack, and very tasty in my opinion, and glad to see, David, that you like those snacks. All right, plenty of action in the comment section still coming through. Steve says, Brenda, he has property in Portugal. So somebody's obviously asking why I am in Portugal, and that is the case. I have a small apartment, yes I do, in a place called Peniche in Portugal, and that is where I am at the moment. Outside this window is Portugal. I don't know whether I can open the window or not because the sun will come blasting in, but I do have a small property in Portugal that I try to get to as much as I can because I'm a coastal person, and Portugal for me is a fantastic place to escape for a week or so. So that is why I am here at the moment. All right, good. Now let's go on to the second comment here. I think it's similar to the first one. Let's have a look. Ellis, Spain keeps changing the rules nearly every day. Don't think they want tourism, still discriminating against the unvax. I won't be going back there. People should boycott Spain. Spend your thousands elsewhere. A lot of comments similar to Ellis's comment here, people saying that Spain is discriminating against the unvaxxed. Again, I'll say that the unvaccinated part of the population is the minority. So the majority of people can still come to Spain. There's no problem. You just have to fill out a health form, prove that you are vaccinated. But there is discrimination going on, obviously, at the moment, because Spain doesn't want to deal with unvaccinated people. I suppose if they get sick, what happens if they catch COVID? And people are going to say, yeah, but vaccinated people get COVID as well. It's true. Vaccinated people get COVID. I had COVID 4 or 5 months ago. Didn't have to go to hospital, so I was lucky. But as we have seen, plenty of people have ended up in hospital over the last 2 years with COVID. And I think that's what Spain would be trying to avoid, and other European countries as well. It's not just Spain being strict on the unvaccinated. But there is definitely a bit of discrimination, I would say, going on against the United Kingdom when it comes to this, because other European countries are able to come into Spain if you are unvaccinated with a negative PCR test. I think that's also the case if you come from the United States or Canada. So a bit of discrimination going on against unvaccinated British people, I would say. But as we see here, people should spend their pounds elsewhere, and no doubt they will spend their pounds elsewhere. But as we saw here in Spain, we're back to pre-pandemic levels of tourism for Easter. So it looks as though some people are not going to be missed. That's all I'll say on the matter. Now, let's go back into the chat section here. CityFan says the average salary is not $2,000 a month. I don't know what that's referring to, CityFan. I'll put that one up here. Maybe it's got something to do with the video that I posted yesterday about the cost of living. I'll have to go back and see what the rest of that chat is about. I'll go through that another time. What do we got here? One here from Seamus says, congrats, or early congrats for nearly hitting 60k subs. Stu, you're nearly at the 60k mark, Seamus. You're exactly right. But as I always say, the amount of subscribers is not important. It's the amount of people that watch the videos which is important. And if you get an average every day, which is what I try to get over that 10, 12, 13, 14,000 per video mark, I'm happy with that because it's not easy to get people watching your videos on YouTube. But 60,000 subscribers, happy with that. So thank you everybody out there for subscribing. And if you're not subscribed, please click that subscribe button below. Now, we'll go on to another comment here. David says, or you could fly into Portugal, because apparently Portugal doesn't have the same rules when it comes to being vaccinated or unvaccinated. So, yeah, you could fly into Portugal, David. That's exactly right. But again, why would you bother? Just stay in Portugal. Why would you fly to Portugal, then come into Spain, when you can have a holiday in the Algarve? I suppose if you have a house in Spain and you're not allowed in because you haven't been vaccinated, that could be a bit of an issue. So you could fly to Portugal, cross the border. There's nobody on the border. You just go straight across the border into Spain. Nobody will stop you. So that could be something that people are doing. So that is an option. So thanks, David, for pointing that one out to people. Now we'll have a look at another comment here. Let me have a look. This one here. How could they seize those items if these are just allegations at this point? Shouldn't there be a court decision first? Now, I think the Fox here is trying to say seize and not cease. So seize those items. Now, this is talking about those businessmen who've had their possessions seized that they allegedly bought with the money that they made through those commissions. As I said before, the Ferraris, the Rolexes, houses, yacht, things like that. And a judge has seized those goods. And the question asked by the Fox here is, shouldn't there be a court decision first? In Spain, no, you don't need a court decision. A judge can seize your assets if he believes they are involved in the case. If the judge thinks that these goods are involved in the case because it's what the public prosecutor says, then he can seize them until the court case comes to an end and the decision, what the verdict of that case is. If it's found that those goods weren't bought with that money, or the money was legally obtained, there's going to be no problems. But he's seizing them during the case, obviously, because he doesn't want anything to happen to those assets, whether they get sold or whether they disappear. I think that's the reason why they have been seized. But to answer the question, yes, judges can seize your assets even if you haven't been proved guilty. So that's on the table there. And that is what has happened in that case. All right, good. Now we'll go back into the comments. I want to hear from Steve. Many thanks, Stu. Are Brits the only tourists that visit Spain? Certainly seems like it. No, that is not the case. But in 2019, Steve, the biggest group of people that visited the country were from the United Kingdom, the biggest country group, let's say 20%, I think. And the rest of countries, so for example, Germans is a smaller percentage, which obviously has increased now. French, less of a percentage, etc. But the British have always been the biggest group of people visiting the country, or at least they have been in recent times. And as I said, in 2019, I think it was, I'm not sure whether it was 20% or whether it was 20 million of 84 million came from the United Kingdom. So we're talking huge numbers of people. And obviously, because this is an English-speaking audience, I'm not going to be speaking about how many people from Sweden visit the country, Steve. And a lot of people that do watch the videos are people from the United Kingdom or Ireland or countries like that, English-speaking countries that holiday down here in Spain, and they want to know what's going on, which is why we point these things out here. All right, good. Now let's have a look what's going on here in the comment section still. Plenty of action coming on here. Let me have a look. Anna says every weekend there's a protest in London. Lots to protest about. Maybe she's talking about people that are not vaccinated and their protest. Don't know what the origin of that comment is. Let's go through here. Plenty of things coming in. Jose Antonio says, we saw that room before. Yeah, exactly right, Jose Antonio. You have seen this room before. If you've been watching the videos, every summer I do videos from this room. So this room is not new for a lot of people. Thank you very much for that. And what else we got going on here? Let's have a look. Well, here's Steve. Another Steve says, most Brits go to Benidorm, beer and English breakfast. Haha, Northern Dream, LOL. Benidorm, a very popular destination for British people, but it's not the only one. All the way down, all along those coasts, you'll find people from the United Kingdom holidaying or at their homes. All right, good. Now we'll go to the last comment here. Let me have a look. Janet says, enjoyed this comparison video, Stuart. I heard that Alicante is a much cheaper place to live. Thank you. Again, the comparison video that I did yesterday where I compared different cities in Spain with Madrid, Barcelona, Madrid, Valencia, and also a cheaper city called Ciudad Real, south of Madrid, 2 hours south of Madrid, and huge differences when it comes to the cost of living in Ciudad Real and Madrid, basically. Not so much when it comes to Barcelona and Madrid, because obviously two big cities, and there was a fair bit of difference between Valencia and Madrid, quite a bit when it comes to renting especially. And you're right, Janet, Alicante, I imagine, is a cheaper city to live in than is Madrid, than is Barcelona, and probably also cheaper than Valencia, I would say. But again, there are cheap cities in Spain and there are expensive cities. The more people, the more expensive it's going to be. That's normally the rule. And of course, Madrid, a very expensive city, in my opinion, considering the salaries that we saw. The average salary in Madrid, I think it was around 1,800 euros or something like that. And to rent a place on your own is going to set you back around 1,200 euros. So yeah, quite expensive, unfortunately, in Madrid at the moment. But anyway, what can we do? All right, good. Let's go back into the chat section. We're coming at, well, we're past the 30-minute mark, so I'm going to start to wrap the video up in a minute and see if I can find one more chat here. I've got a lot of people talking about the driver's licenses and how that point system works, whether you start off with 0 points and you accumulate points until you lose your license, or whether you get a certain amount of points and you lose those points. I think there's two ways that those systems can work. But what's this one here? Ken. Oh, okay, Ken says he's got a can of aceituna stuffed with anchoas. Can't get myself to try them. Actually quite tasty, Ken, the old aceituna stuffed with an anchovy. The green olives stuffed with anchovies, which you'll see in Spanish supermarkets. Quite tasty in my opinion. I actually like them, Ken. So I recommend you crack that can and try them with a beer or something like that. Quite a nice snack. It's quite a tasty snack. All right, good. Now I'm going to start to wrap the video up, guys. Been going now for 31 minutes. This week I'm not going to be putting out any news videos similar to the ones that I normally do. I'm going to be taking the mornings off. I don't want to be stressed out here trying to put videos together. So I'm only going to be doing live streams this coming week. Okay, so I'm going to do another live stream maybe tomorrow, maybe Tuesday, not 100% sure yet. I'll see what I can work out as far as time goes. So I'll say definitely Tuesday, definitely Thursday, but whether I drop a video on Monday and Wednesday, we'll see. But anyway, that's just to let you guys know that that's what's going on this week. Now, I'll start to wrap the video up. Thank you very much for that. Apparently, there's some buffering going on, so I apologize, but I hope the quality of the video wasn't too bad. So I'll see everybody later. It's been fantastic chatting again to everybody. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your Sunday, and I'll see you during the week. So hasta luego.